Hello, welcome back to another episode of the Self-Development with Tactics podcast. Today, we're gonna go through one of the books that I kind of have forgotten about, but it is indeed one of those that I was really looking forward to when I've, the first time seen that. That this is gonna be published pretty soon. Today, we're gonna talk about Will by Will Smith, which is basically, I think, the autobiography written by Will Smith and apparently also by Mark Manson. Published, I think, very recently in 2021. And just as some sort of a, pre-phase, pre-whatever, Will Smith has always been a pretty great inspiration for me. And in very tough times that I've had, it was kind of a coincidence that he was talking to me and that he was speaking to me through those motivational speeches that I've been listening to, really a lot these days, or in these days. And the thing was, especially what he was saying was really getting to my heart, basically, and he was really helping me and really helped me back then and, also afterwards, years afterwards, to, at least at my point of view, live a life that is worth living. Also in terms of just having certain attitudes and having certain worldviews and having certain ways of being that were heavily inspired by what he said. I loved this so much I couldn't stop and read it in one sitting for 8 hours straight. I love autobiographies that distill lessons from their success, similar to Total Recall by Schwarzenegger. I love reading the mindset of the super ambitious. Knowing Mark Manson's writing so well, it's fascinating to notice where it subtly changes voice from Will to Mark. Great insights, really an ideal autobiography, and it was rated by Derek Sivers from the Sive.rs, apparently at this point in time site, 9 out of 10. Which is actually a pretty good, it's actually an amazing rating, since he went through so many books, he went through so many things. It just, his opinion does really mean something, since he knows his stuff and he knows his craft and he knows books and whatnot so well. This just means something. My notes. This, by the way, is some sort of a book summary / book notes article and thing. I really am looking forward to it. I think that I'm gonna take as much time as I can and really trying to distill everything that I'm reading, maybe also interpreting it once again and even further, so that you're having my opinion, the opinion of Will Smith, basically, also Mark Manson probably, but also from Derek Sivers. There is no wall, there are only bricks. Your job is to lay this brick perfectly. Then move on to the next brick. Then lay that brick perfectly. Don't worry about the wall, your only concern is one brick. The difference between a task that feels impossible and a task that feels doable is merely a matter of perspective. Are you paying attention to the wall, or are you paying attention to the brick? Pissed off? Lay another brick. Bad opening weekends? Lay another brick. Album sales dropping? Lay another brick. Marriage failing? Lay another brick. Which, as I'm seeing it, and this is actually something really interesting, this kind of takes the perspective of, okay, literally speaking, it takes the perspective of, okay, I'm gonna focus on a small thing. I'm not gonna look at the wall, I'm not gonna look at the big macro thing, but I'm gonna have a look at the micro thing. I'm having a look at what I am working on at this point in time, so that I, do not lose sight of what I'm doing, or how I'm basically also seeing it, maybe also focusing on the wrong thing. I see the wall, I see a really big wall, it is intimidating probably, but is this wall that I'm imagining right now, built with this kind of bricks, built in this kind of way, painted in this kind of color, is this really the wall that I do want to have? But when I focus on the brick, well, the brick is what I'm having in my hands at this point of time. So I'm gonna use this brick. Maybe I'm gonna use different bricks. Maybe it's not gonna be a red one, maybe it's gonna be a black one, and tomorrow it is gonna be a red one. Depends on how I am feeling. But laying a brick, but doing something. Not just sitting around doing nothing and whatnot, but actually doing something. Being like the important thing. Not the wall, not the big element, not the end goal. Which is pretty interesting because on the other hand, it does also make sense to focus on the very big thing to just, make the small losers or the small things that you're having to deal with at this point in time a bit more doable and a bit more, not that difficult. It's pretty interesting. I do like both perspectives, but those different perspectives do give you as well a different set of quote-unquote rules and ways to deal with them and use them. In school you get the lesson and then you take the task, but in life you get the test, then it is your job to learn the lesson. Yeah. And this really does have a lot to do with thinking and wondering and asking. If you're just having to deal with a certain situation, and a certain situation that probably is pretty difficult, at least not easy, you may ask yourself, well, what can I learn from that? What can I get out of this situation? What can I do with the situation that I'm facing at this point of time? What can I do? And maybe you come to certain conclusions, or at certain conclusions, like, okay, this is what this means, that is what this means, and so on and so forth. Various different things. It's amazing. But still, at least in my point of view, it is all about asking yourself questions, asking other people questions, and doing your best to try to view your life and view this situation and view whatever the fuck you're doing in as many perspectives as you can. Venturing forth is how we gain the knowledge. Choosing the city you live in is as important as choosing your life partner. Well, yeah, to some degree, I would say. The thing is, I guess that I'm taking it literal, but it also depends on the country that you're living in, and it also depends on the continent, therefore, as well. Well, obviously. Different culture means different opinions, means different worldviews, different points of attention as well. What are people focusing on? What do find people important? What is relevant in people's lives? This does change with changing your location, and it does also change with a new life partner. Maybe as well, being in a certain city does lead to meeting certain people. I would assume that in Silicon Valley / I think it is called Palo Alto. I don't know if this is a city. Not that educated in the geographical space, I have to say. But this is kind of a set point from where you can move forward from. Which means, okay, I'm living in this city that is full of people that are entrepreneurs, full of artists, full of people that are creative, full of whatever type of people. And of course, if I am in an environment with great people, then I'm probably also going to be great in the future. It's like this rule, the 5 people that you surround yourself with, they are really important, and they make who you are, and they really influence who you are, which just makes sense, because of course, if you're just spending a lot of time with a certain person, you are gonna adapt certain traits, character traits, and you're gonna get certain worldviews, certain ways of seeing the world, certain ways of navigating in the world. I guess it is stemming from this perspective. Always do your best. Imagine you were to secure a title fight against Mike Tyson in his prime. Fearful for your life, you hire legendary trainer Freddie Roach. You commit to the perfect diet, the perfect training regimen, and you do everything within your power to prepare yourself to face Iron Mike. You step into the ring in impeccable physical and mental condition, and Mike destroys you within 15 seconds. You did everything you could possibly have done and still lost. You're just not as good a fighter as Mike Tyson. That is a bearable loss. That is what I'm calling natural destruction. But if you were lollygagging during training, didn't really eat right and let your boy Pookie train you, and then Mike knocks you out in 15 seconds, now you have to face an unbearable loss. You have to live the rest of your life not knowing what might have happened had you done your best. In the back of your mind, forever, you will know that you didn't only lose to Mike Tyson, you lost to yourself. The fight wasn't you versus Mike, it was you and Mike versus you. And this is, I don't want to say that it is obvious, that it is something that we all know, something that just makes sense, but we all can think about that. But the problem with things that we all can think about is that we sometimes, and very often indeed, forget about them. We see things, we mention things, we talk to people, we do stuff, and we get lost. And all of a sudden, things just change, And this is a pretty great reminder of the fact that you should do your best. So what is your best? This is something that, it is a rule that you set yourself. You are a certain person, you have certain character traits, you are who you are, and what your limit is what you define. And how much energy you put into a certain space, while probably having to do other things as well, is also something you decide. So if you're a student and you really want to grow your TikTok account, well, you may also think about the fact that school may be important, or university or whatnot. On the other hand, you could also just shift those importancies or factors. But it is very difficult to say what is doing your best. Maybe, I'm going to look it up afterwards because it is actually pretty interesting, so maybe I can find an article on there. It is 2 against 1. It is you and the universe versus you. It is respectable to lose to the universe. It is a tragedy to lose to yourself. If it is a tragedy, I don't know. Doing your best. Let's see. Doing your best, what does it really mean? BillyVoodage.com. Okay. Doing your best. What is meant and how you can do. Let's actually see. I do like the lifehack.org site. I think that it is pretty great. What does doing your best really mean? Doing your best is synonymous with living out each and every moment to its fullest potential. And this potential exists in every situation you encounter in your life. And that is required of you, is not to fight whatever life throws your way. Doing your best is not about meeting expectations or achievements. It isn't about success or failure or whatever that label even implies. It is about putting all your energy into whatever life situation you are currently experiencing. With that being said, I'm gonna end the episode there, and see you soon. Bye bye.